Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Today, in another Creepmas video, I'm going to be looking at these wooden cutouts again. Now, I am going to say that if you are eagle-eyed, you'll realise that this isn't the sheet I was playing with in my earlier video. That's because I bought a second one, because I want a few more options possibly, and so I got some more while I could. If you saw the first of my Creepmas videos for this year, you'll know that I am focusing on exterior decor, and I'm going to turn my basement area into Santa's Grotto. Now, every time I've seen a setup with Santa's Grotto, there's always been some kind of a display before you go in. So that's partly what I'm going to use these for. My intention is to build a display area that will fit under the pavement. Yes, that's the right word. Under the pavement on the side of my basement where the steps are. And these pieces are going to be displayed on the top of that display area. Now, I haven't got my basement upstairs just at the moment, because that would be far too organised, wouldn't it? However, I am going to start off by telling you a bit more about these actual cutouts, and then we'll get on with the actual display piece. If you watched my Christmas ideas video, you will recall that I removed the polar bear from my original sheet, and here he is. He's actually been all made up. He's stuck together now, and for a little cutout piece, he's not too bad. The only thing I will say is the wood is incredibly porous. I put paint on it and it sucked it in. And this has actually taken about 4 layers, or even 5 layers maybe, of not craft paint, but paint that is thicker. And I still need to add some more to the edges just to tidy him up. But he is a cute little polar bear, and will probably go on my little display piece. Aside from the fact that the wood soaks up the paint, they go together perfectly well. I have actually started on another one. I have removed the snowman and I have put him together roughly. I don't want to drop my polar bear now, do I? My issue with this snowman is you have to make sure you get him the right way around, because he has got a right way and a wrong way. He's got a nose. You can see there, he's got a little carroty nose sticking out. But apart from that, there seems to be nothing really wrong. It only took a little bit of glue to stick the legs in place on the polar bear even. I don't know why I've got a postman on my brain, but hey ho. And I quite like him. Now, I think it'll be far easier when I use coloured paint. The white in particular, white paint is always quite problematic because it can be not very pigmented. So I'm hoping that when I come to the other pieces, the sleigh, even Santa, I will be able to put them together with a little less trouble. I am going to make a structure for my pieces to stand on, and I'm going to use some foam board. I've got some black foam board here because it's what I happen to have, and what I want is a piece that's going to be big enough to hold my pieces, put Santa's sleigh etc. on there, and small enough to fit into my basement. Now, if I put my polar bear on there, I can see that I need it to be at least 2 inches deep. That shouldn't be a problem. I've got room for that. And I've got room under there for a piece that is up to 5 inches long. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a base piece that is 5 inches by 2 inches, and then I'm going to start forming a bit of a construction around it so that I can see what I've got, check that it fits under the basement, and go from there. I have put together my little stand for my display. Now this is 5 inches long. It is 2 inches deep on the actual display piece, and then another piece of foam board behind that. And then the total height, including the back piece, is 2.5 inches. But that includes half an inch. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my words today. For the base of it. And then I've got my back and I've got my space there to put my little pieces on. This is basically 3 pieces of foam board, although I did use the offcut from that inside just to make sure that I could line up that on the back evenly. I was having a bit of a job getting the glue to dry when I did this the other afternoon, but there it is. Now this is ready now for me to decorate it, so that's the next step. To do my background, I have gone with using some paper out of a sketchbook. Now this is a sketchbook, drawing book, whatever you want to call it, that is suitable for mixed media, so I can get it wet, which will prove to be important. Now what I did is I took a page and I cut it down. Now I cut it to 5 inches square roughly. 5 inches because that's the size of that, and then I added up the other sizes. And what I've done is I've scored it so that it will fit over the foam board. Then that bit will wrap around the top and will get completely glued in place eventually. So I'm going to use some watercolour pencils to do this, just on this bit, because that bit I want white because I'm going to put snow around my little models. I'm going to use watercolour pencils, and I've got my trusty water brush, which, if you don't know what this is a brush that has got a reservoir of water in it, and you can use it to put a very small amount of water onto your image. So I'm going to give that a go. May take a while because I'm a bit rusty, but I'm going to have a go at doing a bit of a background for my little model. So I went for a very simple tree filled background. I went simple because I could have been there all day, but for something that's 1.5 inches maybe, it wasn't worth spending too long. It's going to be covered up by the bits in front, so I just went really simple. I tried a couple of ideas and I just went with triangle trees and a bit of a nightish looking sky, which I had to mix a couple of colours to get, but I think it works. I didn't end up using the brush directly onto the paper because it was still putting too much water on. I actually used a cotton swab, cotton bud, just to smudge my pencils and make it look a bit more painted. Now I'm going to stick this onto the base, and instead of using glue, because I don't want to get that any wetter than it is already, I don't want to risk ruining the work I've done, I'm using some extra strong double-sided tape, and I've put it on here already, and I will put this on, and I'll start off by doing the what I'll call the seat. I think that's one way of looking at it, is if I class that as a bit of a seat and get that back into the corner, and then I can do the back bit. Oh, that I've decorated. And then I've just got to do the front bit down here, which should not be a problem. That should go on quite nicely. It's a bit lopsided, but it'll do. I can cover that up with a bit of snow. And then I'm just going to put that bit onto there, and then I've got to fold this bit back over. It's just going to go like that, and then you can see I've got a where's my, I did pick the corners. I'm not sure which corner I picked off of this one, but I didn't fold it back because I thought, oh, I'm not going to do that just yet. But there we have it. So I'm going to go and find some cotton wool, or I might just call it cotton, which I can use to sort of go around those bits. Definitely put some along the edge just to sort of cover up the fact that I mucked up a bit, but hey ho, it's going to be not very visible when it's in the doll's house, because it's actually going to be a very hidden piece. And we'll look next at the actual decorative pieces. Now, before I show you what I've done with these, I'm just going to give you a little recap on what I've actually used. Now, I've got the snowman here, who I've not included in my scene. I am going to do something with him. I actually got 2 of him because I've got another pack, obviously, but he's going to wait. Now, they come on this sheet, and it's a lightweight wood. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to make a guess. It's harder than balsa, sort of similar in weight but rougher grain than the basswood that I've got. I don't know. I'm no good at that kind of thing. The only one I haven't taken out of here, and the only one I haven't used apart from my snowman, is the penguin. And I do want to include the penguin somewhere along the lines, so I'm just going to cut him out. Now, because these are laser cut, I believe, rather than die cut, you get a little tiny bit where it's still attached, and it's up there. And all I'm doing is I'm using a craft knife just to try and cut it, but it's easier said than done because I'm having to cut it from both sides. And once you've done that, they come out really easily. Now, when I've got some snowflakes there, I'm going to remove those and use them for something else. I don't know what. So I've got my penguin, and they're really simple because they just slot together. They're like the easiest kind of thing. And there's my penguin. Now, that's the side that he's designed to be seen from, because you've got the markings on there, both sides, for where his breast would be, the lighter colour section on his front. But yeah, it's a nice size and they work very well. I'm pleased with the snowman. When I bought them, I thought maybe I'd use the little sledge for something. You know, I could use the sledge inside the doll's house as a table decoration with flowers or something in, like you might do in real life. But I decided that actually they got far more versatility than that. So that's all they are. And then once I've painted them, I just apply a little bit of glue and stick them together. And they seem to be standing up quite well. I've painted them and they've been glued. Some of them have been glued a few days now, and they're working quite well. So over to the finished pieces, and here we have them. These are the pieces that I'm going to use. I've got the little house, which I painted to make it look like a gingerbread house. You could go more over the top with some dimensional paint and give it some more sweets and things if you wanted, but I just wanted quite a basic looking gingerbread house, and hopefully I've succeeded. Nice size, you know, great. Now if you wanted, you could I think put this together without including the bottom piece, and then you'd actually be able to stick a light of some description inside it, which I think could be very nice. And if I was going to do that, I would probably use some coloured cellophane on the inside of the windows so that you had a, you know, a nice little effect. And then I've got my trees. These have just been painted. I may put a little bit of white on the edges, just run a paintbrush down to make it look like they've got a bit of snow sitting on them, but I'm kind of happy with them as they are. They're going to work well. Obviously we've got my original polar bear. Now the white I found was the worst colour. White paint is often a bit of a nightmare, but I got it to work in the end, as I showed you earlier with this one. All I will say is, if you're going to do white, be prepared for it to take some time. Then I've got the sleigh, which, as I said, I did think I could use as a decoration, table decoration, under the tree decoration, something like that inside the doll's house. And that's where the second one may end up going in the end. I've gone for gold. I painted it brown to start off with, added gold over the top, and then I've put some very basic purple bits on it just to break it up. My coach painting is not up to much, so I won't be getting a job doing the lines on any trucks anytime soon. And then we have my reindeer. Again, just a simple paint job. I went with a sandy colour. Well, the paint is called sand, but I think of it more of a sort of bony colour for the antlers. And then I've got a little piece of embroidery thread that will be eventually glued over the edge of the sleigh, so it looks like he's actually attached to the sleigh, ready to pull it. Then my finest work, we've got Santa. Well, I say my finest work, he's not perfect, but you know, he's a little wooden cutout. He's got a bit more detail. Well, actually, he's got a lot more detail. And if you look at him from the side, he's actually rather chubby with a pronounced nose. And I've managed to get the paint sort of right. I'm not bothered if the paint isn't perfect on these, because it goes with the kind of background story. Now I know that some people love that I bring in these background stories with my makes, but when I'm doing things for my doll's house, I am decorating it and I am taking into account the family that live there, because everybody's different. Everybody's different in real life, and I figure that everybody's different in Mini as well. Anyway, the next step is to start positioning these onto the base so that I can see where I need to fit some snow. So we'll go over onto that one. Now, to make my snow, I am using cotton wool. Now in the States, I know that you call this just cotton. It is the stuff that you use for cleaning wounds, maybe, removing makeup. Actually, these are designed for removing makeup because these are the pad kind. I'd normally use the balls, which you can unroll and you get a nice strip of the stuff. But they've disappeared into the depths of my craft room. Now, I saw them a few weeks ago. I cannot find them today, so I've grabbed these out of the bathroom and it'll work for this. Now, I could just use some white felt, put a piece of white felt on there and call it done. It would look like that matting you sometimes get, which is like a thicker version of felt. But I want a bit more dimension, and I've used the cotton wool on some of my pieces last year to give a bit of texture. So I'm going to start off with putting into place the house, which is going to go sort of back but off centre, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to put some glue onto the corners of it and just pop it into place. That's the first piece that I'm going to go for. Now the trees are going to go at the back, or maybe I'm going to put a tree at the back and a tree at the front. Put a tree up there. Although if I put the sleigh, maybe I need to do it that way around. I want to put my polar bear so it looks like he's about to attack Santa. Yes, that's deliberate. I want my polar bear to look like he's about to attack Santa. So I think that is how I'm going to arrange it, vaguely. Maybe a little bit of titivating. I may put the sleigh at a bit more of an angle. Yeah, that might look better. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these bits off, and I'm going to start putting some more of this on. I know I can put some around the house, and then I can fit the tree on, and I can go from there. Now to attach it, I am just using the technique of paint on some glue, pull off some of the cotton, and just sort of pat it into place. You know, I'm not looking for something which has got a professional finish. This isn't going to be like a mall display for Santa or anywhere like that. This is just going to be somebody making something at home to go with their own Grotty Grotto. So as you can see, if I move this up here, I've now got some snow, and it's got a bit of body and texture to it. And I'm going to carry on with this, working my way across the piece and fitting in, like putting a little bit and then fitting the tree into it. I could probably put the tree on top of some of it, but putting some in front of the house so that it looks like the house is actually in the scene, not just plonked on top. Because, well, we do at least want this to look like somebody's put a bit of thought. I have covered the stage, for want of a better word, with the cotton wool. So I've got some quite nice fluffy snow there, and I've stuck most of my pieces into place. Now I could add some presents or something to the sleigh that might look appropriate, or I could put a present there so it looks like Santa's about to deliver one to the gingerbread house. But I just want to put into place my little polar bear. Now all I've done to glue them in place is I've just put a little bit of glue on the bottom. I figure if I don't use too much glue, if I want to take this apart after Christmas, put these away and then use them in a different way next year, I can do. But I want to put the polar bear so it looks like he's about to attack Santa. That's very much the kind of creepy vibe that we're going for, but at first glance it isn't going to look like anything out of the ordinary is going on. Rather, it looks like the polar bear is just watching what Santa is up to. We know though, don't we? Now, where this is going is actually in a little dark crevice of my doll's house. So I want some light on it, and of course it's Christmas, so we want some lights. And I'm intending to use this set of wire lights, the little LED lights on a wire, and they do work. They do work when I get them so that there's a little bit of an issue here whereby these lights will actually short out if the wrong bits of wire touch each other. They could be cut down, but I want this to go all around the bottom of my basement, and I am going to, as part of this, I think, if I can actually untangle this so I've actually got a nice straight bit, going to tack in place, probably just with some either tacky wax, which is like museum putty, or even possibly just a little bit of blue tack, the stuff you'd put posters on the wall with, some of that, or I may even just use a little bit of invisible tape, but I can put that across there, maybe along the front as well, so it lights it up. You can't tell in here because it's actually quite light, but I think that is going to look really, really effective. I was going to put lights into this piece, but then I decided that I think I'd rather have less battery packs, and as I want lights elsewhere, I'm going to try and use one set as far as possible. Certainly I've got 50 on this string, which is going to be more than enough for half of my basement, and then maybe I'll find another set for the other half, or I may even just sort of WhatsApp them round, loop them round, because 50 LEDs is quite a lot when you're looking at a doll's house scale piece. But you see, I can actually light this up and I can have lights around it, and it's going to look, I think, pretty effective. So I think I'm going to leave this here for today. It's not the creepiest of my Creepmas videos, but it will all make sense in the end, I hope. But also it shows you that, you know, it's not difficult to make something out of not a lot to decorate your doll's house. You could just do the pieces and have them displayed on a landing, even some of them on a tabletop in your doll's house. You don't have to go all out like I have and made a scene, but you know, anything is possible. And by the same token, if you wanted to go really spooky, you could have had a zombie Santa by colouring him differently. You could have I could have put blood onto the polar bear so it looks like he's already attacked somebody. I could have put something on the floor so it looks like actually the polar bear has just attacked one of Santa's elves. Anything is possible, you know, as I always say, it depends how far you want to take things. But I'm quite pleased with my little scene, and it is definitely going to work well in the vision that I have for my doll's house Christmas. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. And until next time, bye.